The great wizard that we know in Middle-earth as Gandalf was in fact an embodied spirit known as a Maya, who had existed long before he made his way into the known world. He was at this time known as Olorin. So what was he doing before he came to Middle-earth? Let's find out.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
Hey guys, and welcome to The Broken Sword. So we know pretty much nothing about Olorin's doings in the most ancient times, but we first hear of him after the Valar settled in the western lands of Aman. After the arrival of the elves in Valinor, the being who would later become known as Gandalf acquired a name in the Quenya tongue, Olorin, a name connected to dreams and dreaming, or at least the elves' equivalent experience of dreaming. Described as one of the wisest of all of the Maya, he had a special concern for the children of Iluvatar. In Valinor, he would move among them unseen, as the spirits of the Maya were able to do, and he would prompt the elves or inspire them to great wisdom. Considered by many to be amongst the wisest of all the Maya, Olorin was created by Iluvatar before the music of the Ainur. At the beginning of time, he was amongst the Ainur who entered into Ea. He became one of the Maya who served Manwë, Vardar, Urmo, and Nienna. He was associated with light and fire, much like his peer Vardar. But because of Olorin's ways and his kind-hearted nature, he took more to Nienna than anyone else, and it was from Nienna that he learned pity and patience. He loved the elves, but he walked unseen among them, or wore a fanner that appeared like an elf, and sent them fair visions in the hearts that made them wiser. A fanner is essentially the Quenya term for a physical form. Throughout most of his existence at this time, he followed the example of Nienna. As it became clear that a shadow was arising again in Middle-earth during the Third Age, the Valar made the decision to send 3 emissaries to lead the peoples of the mortal lands against the rising darkness. 2 of the Maya accepted the summons: Karumo, who you may have guessed is later known in Middle-earth as Saruman, and Alatar. Manwë himself then called for Olorin to join them as a noted friend of the Eldar, and reluctantly, Olorin agreed. Overall then, 5 emissaries were sent as the Istari, the wizards. The other 2 were Iwendil, also known as Radagast, and a great friend of Alatar known as Palando. These 2, of course, are the legendary Blue Wizards. These 5 then each took on a form of human in the appearance of an old man, losing much of their native knowledge and power in the process. They then took ships across the Great Sea to Middle-earth. There are hints that Olorin had visited Middle-earth long before this fateful voyage, to lend his help to the elves and men in their war with Morgoth in the First Age. Almost nothing is known of these earlier visits, if indeed they occurred at all, but his arrival with his fellow Maya at the Grey Havens in the Third Age would of course have a far greater impact on Middle-earth's history. It was then of course as Gandalf that Olorin played his most important roles in Middle-earth's history, both alone and as a part of the Council of the Wise. He brought Bilbo Baggins into the quest of Erebor, an action that led to finding Sauron's One Ring, and he also helped the White Council to drive Sauron himself out of Dol Guldur. Finally, he played a pivotal role in the War of the Ring, helping not only form the Fellowship, but bring about the final defeat of the Dark Lord. When at last Middle-earth had been freed from the threat of Sauron, Gandalf travelled back to the Grey Havens, where he had landed in Middle-earth some 2 millennia earlier. There he boarded the White Ship and departed from Middle-earth, returning to his ancient home in the west and to his former existence as Olorin. It should be mentioned that there is a very small chance that even the little we know about Olorin's background is simply false. In a note reproduced in Unfinished Tales, Tolkien briefly explores the possibility that Olorin was actually an alias for none other than Manwë, the Elder King of Arda. According to this idea, Manwë chose to make one last journey into Middle-earth before finally retiring to his halls to await the last battle. The guise he chose for this journey, according to this version of events, was that of a humble Maya, Olorin. This idea was said to come from the Faithful, of an intermediate later period, apparently some troubled time in the Fourth Age. It's interesting that Tolkien doesn't categorically reject the notion, but says, "I do not, of course, know the truth of this matter, but I think it was not so." It seems from this that we can be very clearly certain that Olorin was not secretly the Chief Valar Manwe. Nonetheless, this remains a very fascinating possibility, if a very unlikely one. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these theories. Do you think that Olorin was simply a Maya that was around from the very early days and was sent as an emissary to Middle-earth? Or do you like the theory and the idea that perhaps Olorin was in fact Manwe in disguise? Like I stated, it seems very unlikely, but it is for sure a very tantalizing theory. Be sure to discuss your thoughts and theories on this in the comments down below. As always guys, it's time to say thank you to all of our patrons and channel members. All your support means so much to us. There's a ton of behind the scenes content for the making of our production coming to our Patreon very soon. I'd also like to apologise for a rather short video today. We do have another longer, more in-depth video coming out on Monday about Gandalf that I'm sure you guys are going to love, so stick around for that one. That's it from me today, my friends. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.